Good day and welcome to U Talk. I'm your host, Ryan Funk. U Talk is a program dedicated to diversity, highlighting native-born and new Canadians' cultures and experiences. Secondary school can be a challenge, finding your work-life balance and staying focused on your studies. However, it's also an exciting experience, learning new things and meeting people from all over the world with different mindsets and perspectives. Tolani is pursuing a career in STEM and was recently elected as the International Students Representative for the upcoming school year at the University of Manitoba.
I'm Tolani. I am an international student from Nigeria, and I moved here about 4 years ago. So I'm currently in my fourth year and the Faculty of Science taking a microbiome degree. And I am currently living with family right now in Winnipeg. So that's a lot of fun. And I actually haven't gone back home to Nigeria since I came here. So hoping that happens sometime soon, maybe when COVID dies down, but who knows, right? But yeah, it's a little about me.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to travel again. That's something I've been wanting to do, go visit places.
Absolutely.
You know, when you're stuck in home, you're going a little crazy. So tell me your studies and kind of what attracted you to, kind of pursue studies in STEM.
For me, it's always just been science. And I know that's a very typical answer, like everyone, but it really has always been, I think, since I was younger, I've always said, I've always known that I wanted to do science. And I think in Nigeria, when you're in a grade, I think like in grade 8, grade 9, parents like in grade 9, they get you to, so we like split. So we don't call it grade 9, we call it like junior secondary school and senior secondary school. So then when you're moving from junior secondary school, you actually have this departments already, like compared to just like doing a general. So you have science, you have arts, and then you have like commercial, which is like the business kind of side. So like we already kind of like split into those 3 different departments. So like knowing that I want to do science as in it's been since then because I was in science even in high school. So yeah, it's just always been like that. Just like the curious mind, wanting to find answers to stuff and just being really curious. I love long-term studying. I think studying really is like an interesting thing. You gain new knowledge, and the field of science is also not like stagnant. Like it changes almost every single time. Like just saying something is this way doesn't mean it's always going to be that way, even in the future. Like you can get someone come up and be like, well, I found something and that's not exactly what it is, or like what you said it wasn't what I found out. And that kind of changes, and like that really interests me. And yeah, it's been exactly why. And I honestly can't really picture myself doing something else because I feel like I would just really hate it. But that's that.
Well, it's great that you found something that you're incredibly passionate about. And yeah, like you're talking with how it's always changes. Yeah, there's always new technology or new, discoveries changing it up. Yeah, so that sounds great, like getting in there.
Yeah,
it also sounds like schooling back home for you was really robust, kind of like getting kids involved into what they want to do right away.
Yeah, it was. And honestly, I honestly didn't think about it. I guess before coming here, I thought it was kind of like similar to like what everyone kind of does as well. And like, I guess that is good. It has its pros and cons, I guess, because like for someone like me, it's like a pro, right? Because I have been taking chem and bio and physics like right from time. But for someone that didn't exactly, I guess, know what they want to do from starting time, like let's say I decided to go into science, but now I'm like finding out that I don't really like science and, I like arts, then it's going to be really hard changing because I don't really have all those like basics and backgrounds, so that I'm going to have to like take a lot of high school courses. So I guess it does have its pros and cons, but it's one of those things, right?
Yeah. So how has studying been in Canada? How have you been liking the studies here?
I actually quite like it better compared to back home because back home, there's a lot of rigid structure concerning like surrounding your studies. Like you don't really have that flexibility, like picking your courses or picking the time or picking the prof. It's just like your first year, you have to take those courses and that's it, right? And like sometimes, like we all don't study at the same pace. And I might want to do this thing, and I don't want to do this other thing. But if you're creating that, like, that you're forcing me to do it, then that doesn't leave me that much time to explore and check out something else. So like that, I love that flexibility that he gives, being able to pick your own courses and explore, like you have options for electives, and try something else and stuff like that. So I really like that. And the profs are like compared to like back home, I feel like a lot of profs were like, I don't know how to put it, but your lives are pretty much dependent on your profs technically. Like I never I never went to university back home, but like from what I hear from my friends, like your prof can pretty much make or mar your degree. Like let's say you were being rude to a prof, and like they can like pretty much decide, oh well, they can, like, I don't know, take down your grade or like lower it. I mean, there will probably be like, like some questions, like if you report something, but not to the extent that it is here, that, like a prof can't decide that this is a grade you get and they can like just manipulate it. That's not possible, right? And like you'll have all the systems in place that if a student feel unfair, like their grade that are given to them is unfair, then they can like, there's a step that you can go towards that. But I don't think that's the same back home necessarily. So like it really just gives like the students like the freedom to be able to like, do stuff, and like it creates that fairness that I know that the grades that I get is probably going to be fair when I do get it, and knowing that my hard work, like what I get is a result of the work that I put in, kind of thing, compared to like back home where it's like, oh well, I'm not really sure now if what like my hard work is paying off, right? And just everything else, like there are different factors, so that definitely makes things a little more better. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it sounds like education is more in your hands here.
Absolutely, like you have that control, right? And that's definitely great.
So what are you hoping to get into once you're done schooling?
Actually want to get into medicine. So now let's see, I know it's a long journey, but as I mentioned earlier, I love lifelong studying, and just like I honestly don't think I can, like I can't picture myself growing up not being able to continue studying, or like just like doing something along that line, which is exactly probably one of the reasons why I want to go into medicine as well. So yeah, let's really hope. And I'm graduating soon, so that means that process is coming pretty closer sooner than I think, or so yeah, really looking forward to that.
What sort of medicine would you like to focus in?
That's a great question. I don't know. And I really am really just like opening myself up to like opportunities, like being able to like explore what's out there. And I think I know, like just having that knowledge that I don't have to peak now, like I don't have to pick what specialization that I want to do now. It's really great. So like I guess that's something left for me to figure out as time goes on.
Yeah, just kind of follow the road.
Yeah, exactly.
And kind of see
like
where it brings you.
Whatever it falls to, right? Like whatever it comes. So that's exciting.
Well, yeah, you never know what sort of new technology will come out, and you're like, well, that's what I want to do now.
Sure, right?
Something that never existed before.
Yeah, I feel like there's like new specialties that are getting hardened on, like there are even something you don't know, right? Like it's usually just the physician and the cardiologist, surgeons and stuff, but I feel like it goes more than that. There's like other stuff that people like me don't know yet until you actually get in there. So that's the exciting part.
For people that are, going into post-secondary education and wanting to pursue STEM, what sort of advice would you give them? And what sort of mindset should they be in, to pursue kind of a career in those fields?
I feel like a lot of people, like, especially people that are going to postgraduate and, courses like that, there is a big focus in your grades, and like you have to keep up your grades in undergrad especially, so there's this like stress and running around like trying to get the perfect grades, and that's fine, like that's absolutely perfect, like like you definitely need those grades, but I feel like learning definitely goes beyond that, and like it definitely is more than that. Like definitely you have to keep up your grades, right, as I mentioned, and you have to do well, but you also have to like make sure that you're actually learning from those courses, and it's definitely more than just grades. I think one of my profs in one of my classes was talking about how one of her past students sent her an application, because like I think for med you need like a reference, like you need some prof or someone that knows you to write a reference, and there was a question in there that was asking like, does this student tend to focus more on grade, or do they actually like focus more on learning. And I think that's like really important. And like actually profs actually see that too. Like if you're a student who's more just like, okay, I just need to get an A class or an A in this class and that's it. Like it definitely goes so much beyond that. And like volunteering, getting involved and stuff like that, like those are things that actually make up who you are. And eventually like those are things that build your character. And like, definitely university goes more than that grade. And get out there, look for things that interest you and build your experiences is definitely my message, what I'm trying to say.
Of course, it's kind of a fundamental part of a young adult's life, kind of becoming the person who are they going to be, like coming from home and experiencing different people and cultures all in one place.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I mean, I'm not saying don't focus on the grade. It's more like saying find a middle ground between, like actually learning and gaining experiences and focusing on the grade, because eventually the grades do matter, right?
The grades matter, but you also don't want to burn yourself out at the same time.
Exactly.
So what was the process like coming to study in a different country? What does that look like?
Definitely is like a long process. Like I think for me, even after I graduated high school, it took about like a year before I could come here. And I definitely was one of the lucky ones because I had families here already. So I was able to like, my families were able to like help me out with that whole process and, navigating the whole thing and helping me understand what the application is or how to fill an application form or getting a study permit or getting a passport and stuff like that. So like, yeah, it definitely is complicated. And, most times people actually do need people, like, I don't know, like an agent or someone that could lead you through the whole thing. But, eventually it definitely is worth it. Like the amount of stress and time that goes into that, at least for me. So yeah, like if that's something you're considering, then I would say go for it.
What advice would you give your younger self through going through that process?
I guess it would definitely just be patient and not stress out about things. Like I know, like moving to a different country is definitely super exciting, and like you get to try a lot of things, but I think for me, I was also like pretty nervous. Like I think I was age 15 when I left home. And leaving home at that age isn't exactly the easiest thing, because you're really moving away from things that are comfortable and parents and, friends and moving to a completely new country. But as I mentioned, lucky for me, I had families, right? So I didn't have to go through it by myself, but there really are some other people that don't. And, it's a really scary time. But I think but even with that, I still was stressed out. Like there was literally a part of my mind while being on that plane and traveling here, there was a part that was like, am I really gonna thrive? Am I gonna thrive in this new country that I'm going to? And how is that exactly gonna be like? And am I gonna make new friends? How is school going to go? And how's my life going to be like and stuff like that? But I think people were pretty nice. Like I think it's not really a myth when hearing that Canadians are nice. I mean, it's not everybody, but I feel like a huge portion of people are pretty nice, and just like let yourself up to try new things, and like don't be shy, put yourself out there is definitely an advice I would give to my younger self.
You have family here, so were you familiar with Canada before moving, or was it still a massive culture shock?
It's still like, honestly, I feel like no matter how much you do your research, no matter how much you know about it, and no matter how much people tell you about it, it's definitely is still going to be a big culture shock. Like actually getting to experience it yourself. Like you get people tell you, oh, Winnipeg is called Winterpeg and it's pretty cold, it's cold in the freezer, but you don't actually know how cold it is and you actually get to experience it yourself. It's like, oh my gosh, it is cold as the sad. But and not just that, like there are other things, and like like it definitely, no matter how much you try to avoid it, it's definitely still going to be a huge culture shock and a huge adjustment. So yeah, I guess just keep that in mind.
Yeah, that must be so crazy, like experiencing kind of like Canadian winters for the first time. Like I can't even imagine what going from. Because, for Canada born, we're just like, yeah, it's winter. Yay, let's kind of sit through it.
Yeah, I know. I think lucky for me, like the first year I got here, I think 2017, that year it wasn't super duper cold. So like I had a little adjustment, like trying to adjust the weather because it wasn't like all crazy. I mean, that was like, a couple snowstorm and a couple like blizzard or whatever. But for the most part, for the most winter, it wasn't like excessively cold. So that was great. Because I can imagine just like landing into like negative something like right away. And I think I came in the summer as well, and I didn't come in the winter, so I had a little adjustment going into that. Like I was able to
Yeah, a bit
like
of buffer.
ease in from like fall to like winter, not just like like right away into the winter, and that would be crazy. But
Mm-hmm. With education from two countries, do you think that has helped benefit you through your studies?
as I mentioned, I feel like there's pros and cons to everything. Like, definitely did in my first year. Like, I think most of the courses that I took in my first, and I'm pretty sure it probably is similar to like, same to like a lot of like Canadians, like domestic students as well. But I think a lot of my first year courses, I've learned a lot of the materials back in high school. Um, so like that was really helpful, like especially having to like adjust from, I think I had a lot of problem, which is something similar common for like a lot of international students, right? Like you're transitioning from hearing your profs talk the same as you to hearing profs that are speaking really fast English. And I mean, for me, I came from a country where English was an official language, so I didn't have to learn English from the start, which, oh my gosh, that was so good, lucky. But I still had to like, adjust to like the rate at which people speak and how they speak, and different pronunciation and stuff. So like that took a lot of adjusting. And like I was sitting in the class that I can understand half the stuff the prof said, and that made it definitely harder understanding material. But having learned a lot of the stuff from like high school and having that background, I think it really helped going through like that period of time. And yeah, I feel like a lot of and like in my high school as well, like just because you were in science doesn't mean you were only taking science courses, right? Like I took a lot of extra, like we were taking like we took a lot of courses, like 18, or it was a huge number of courses that I had to take in high school. And I think that is still helping me now, like being able to like maintain, like taking 5 courses in a semester and being able to maintain that. I think that kind of stems from there. Like
Yeah, you already experienced
yeah,
that
exactly,
course load.
right? Like the course load is, I mean, it's definitely gotten like a lot harder, I think, as you move on into your degree, but it definitely made it like a lot easier, like transitioning. And I was able to like I learned, like I took economics in high school, and I know that's not the same, like a lot of domestic students cannot say that. And that was like an elective choice for me here, so I was able to take that as well, and that didn't make it as hard. And yeah, so like things like that are like the pros, like the benefits that I would say I gained from that. But yeah, that was definitely good.
Of course. So you were elected international students representative. So what was your reaction when you were chosen for this role, and what does it all entail?
I mean, I was definitely like shocked because I had no point, like a second person that was also running, and honestly, I loved her. I know her as well, so it wasn't like someone that I didn't know. And we were both like, I honestly felt like if she had gotten the position as well, it would have been like, it was a win-win for the international community, because I know our work ethic and how she works, and her policies were almost pretty similar to mine. So but definitely was a shock. And I wasn't like, I think I was preparing myself for a failure rather than a success. So just so it made it easier to accept the news if I didn't get in. But yeah, I did get in, and I feel like right now, like I feel like it's now up to me to be able to make the voices of international and the community heard, like make things a bit more comfortable. And people are moving here for better life, to get more better education and to get a better life. And we have to make sure that they're getting just that. And like people are moving away from parents and families and stuff, like, so like I feel like it's left to like the international community here to be able to accept them and to even have a community to begin with. And I feel like those are things that I have to work with, like in conjunction with like other international student reps and faculties or other students and stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited to get into that and see how that goes, and hopefully that goes well.
That sounds great, though, having that community for people to kind of like bounce off of each other and help each other out in order to, succeed. Because that's what we all want. We just want everyone each other to succeed.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Is there anything else that you'd like to just share in regards to, an international student? What sort of things people should know when coming over?
I think a big one would definitely be like finding that community, as I mentioned, because it's definitely hard. Like for some people, they really have to leave by themselves and experience life by themselves and go through life by themselves. But I think knowing that you don't have to is the main message. Like there are communities out there and you just really have to find where you belong. And once you do, trust me, things are going to be so much better and just go so much smoother. And, and you like have a community of people that it's not just you when you have a problem you can like go to or, do things together and get through this whole hard transitioning together. And like just actively seek out for these communities. And I know there are a lot of them in campus, like student groups or volunteering and stuff like that. Just find where you belong and, finding what you like as well helps with that. Like what interests you is a definite big factor there as well. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What advice would you give people who are going to be experiencing a Canadian winter for their first time?
Layers is the big one. Absolute layers. I mean, it's great that you want to dress for first fashion, and that's absolutely great. And, you can always put on that layers over your fancy clothes, and when you actually get inside, take it off. But don't think you want to dress for fashion when there's actually like -40. And I mean, there are like, I guess, fashionable winter jackets out there. So I guess if that's something you're into, then go for it. But definitely layers, like wear layers on top of layers on top of layers. And yeah, that definitely helps. Stack up those layers. You definitely benefit from them. But
yeah, because no one wants to get frostbite.
It's not good. No, absolutely not.
If you have any stories you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight, leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us at our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was U Talk, and have yourself a good one.